Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the series. You know what to do if you like what you see, what you hear. Hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. I'm so excited today. Randy Blythe, Lamb of God, is here. Hello, man.
How you doing?
I'm well. It's a pleasure to have you on here. You got a busy little year lined up for you, so I appreciate you taking the time to drop in today.
Yeah, man.
I was actually I was looking through your socials and you're always it's always so fascinating because seeing where you go and how you interact with that and what you post about. And it's been a while. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was I think some point last year you were posting in Pikeville with the Hatfield and McCoy area.
Yeah, man. I had a great walk around there. I'm a big history nerd. Wherever I go on tour, I try and figure out what happened where I am, not just in the immediate past, but normally in the far past. So I can I think it helps you understand historical events, how they shape the character of a geographic location. So it's very, very interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm suffer from that thing about how like I like to do the same thing, of course, when I travel, kind of see and I'll pull up, the apps that show me the weird out of the way spots and the historical spots.
Yeah,
And I fail to do that in my own area though. I mean, you hear about the people
sure.
who live in New York, who grew up in New York, who've never been to the Statue of Liberty.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've never been to that area with the Hatfield and McCoys, but of course I've heard about it all my life. And I
Yeah.
saw that and that was my thought, like, I need to get down there.
Yeah, sure. Well, in Richmond, where we are, it's like you can't throw a rock down the street without hitting something that, some sort of historical thing happened. There's, neighborhoods where the houses are all of them have plaques and stuff. The owners aren't allowed to significantly change the outside structure because, George Washington farted there 200 years ago or whatever.
Oh man, I do appreciate that. Well, I know you got a lot going on. As I said, you mentioned to me you're about to leave for the tour. This is the Ashes of the Wake 20th anniversary tour. You're going out with Mastodon. I feel like these anniversary tours, I mean, they've been going strong for a little over a decade now, but I feel like these have really become the saving graces for bands because I don't remember them happening in the same way, say in the 90s or even in the early 2000s.
Well, you have to understand that our genre, heavy metal, is young.
Mhm.
It's young when you think about it. So the Rolling Stones, have been out doing tours, and this is our 20th anniversary tour or whatever. But the first metal band, Black Sabbath, all those guys are still alive.
Right.
I know some of those dudes. So when you talk about the history of the music and so forth, and the creators of the more extreme um, types of metal, of course, the big four, Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, and Metallica, they're all still operational, in one form or the other. So um, it's just taken a while for the genre itself to get old enough to have anniversary tours, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, and we don't have to get too far, but I feel like it's also probably good for business. Like something about the anniversary tour, the
Sure.
marquee, like that's a draw, right? Like in these
Well,
off years between
yeah.
albums, like you can make
Well,
money.
yeah, well, sure. I mean, I love playing music. It's what I do, but it is my job, that may smash some illusions for some people, but we do pay our rent by doing this. This tour in particular, though, it's really cool for like it's not just like an arbitrary, oh, this is a 20th anniversary tour for a record for us. It's really cool because Mastodon, long time friends of ours. I mean, we've known two of the guys in the band since before Mastodon existed. But they released a fairly significant milestone record on the exact same day as we did, a pretty significant milestone record in our career, and the albums are approximately, I think, 57 seconds in length difference. And so they're just old friends, and it just felt we've been talking about this for a while. I mean, literally, probably 10 years. Every now and then, Braun or someone would be like, we should do an anniversary tour since the records came out on the same day. So, 20 is a nice round number.
20 is a nice one. And it's probably for that reason and a lot of reasons. I mean, your both your bands have always sort of like if you're talking about the genre and someone mentions one of your bands, it's almost like they're immediately going to mention the other band right afterwards.
Sure, there's some of the bands that came up around the same time as us. We often get mentioned in the same breath.
Yeah. That's I like what you said a minute ago about, smashing illusions as you were joking about that because I find a lot of times that does happen with albums that we love. I've said it before, it's like when you're a fan and you fall in love with an album,
Hmm.
that album wasn't created, that album just exists, right? It
Right.
was it was born in an explosion, the Big Bang, and there it is.
Right. Yeah. We
Talk-
all we hatched out of rock star eggs too. You know what I mean?
Right. And if you talk to the
I
artist,
just woke up one day and I was on tour with Metallica in Australia. It's great. I'm so lucky.
drew the nice card there, rolled the dice right. That's right.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
talk to the artist, like then you hear about like, man, that was so hard to make. I can't even listen to that song because of this, and that took
Yeah.
37 takes, and it's like it's so different. Here
Well,
you
see,
are.
like for instance, like I said, I knew those guys, two of the guys, Braun and Bill, since before Mastodon existed.
Right.
When I first met them, we were called Burn the Priest, and we were in a van. Um, that broke down on the way to the studio. We got to the studio. Braun was playing in a band called Today Is the Day, where we recorded that record. He was living on the couch in the studio. That was his home. We did not have money for uh, a hotel room, so we slept on the floor. That's of the studio. And we're recycling beer cans because they give deposits back in Massachusetts where we were to get ramen and more beer. So like it's not like poof, all of a sudden Ashes of the Wake came out and we were making a living. This was like I think we did the Burn the Priest record in 97, 98 recorded that. Ashes didn't come out till 2004 and they started the band in 1994. So it's a process. Everything is a process.
That's incredible. So that's, to further my point, and I think you've kind of answered it a little bit here too, because fans obviously hear this in one way. With this new 20th anniversary edition, you do have demos and remixes on here.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you hear in those demos that, didn't exist, of course, in the final? Like, does anything, like when you hear those demos, do you still see it all?
I haven't listened to the demos.
A
I've listened
true
to
musician right there.
I've listened to the remixes. I'm sure I listened to the demos back in the day, but I have not listened to one demo. I'm sure if I listened to it, I would hear inexperience,
Yeah.
and a guy learning how to record because that album was the first album that I ever actually got produced. Before it was just like press the record button, go, Randy. We're running out of time. But in this one, the producer machine actually, I got time to work with him. It was a first after 10 years of being in the band. So um, now I haven't listened to the demos. I'm sure I would hear a guy learning how to do what he does, fumbling through it, which I'm still doing to this day. The remixes are super cool though,
Mhm.
and it's kind of a little feather in my cap, I think, to have a Justin Broadrick remix because huge Godflesh fan since back in the day, since the late 80s, early 90s. So it's really awesome to have him touch our music.
Yeah. And what Health is that the other one? The other remix?
Health, yeah, our friends
Yeah.
in Health. Willie and I, our guitar player, have both worked with Health before. So, um, and they work with tons of people. So we're
Yeah.
like, take it, get weird, you know?
That's what that was the question, of course. The obvious question too is like when you have a process like this, when you know it's going to be stamped on the anniversary edition, like are there guidelines? Do you have to go back and forth? Do you just put your trust out there and they give it back and you're like, cool? Like what how does that work?
Well, I mean, I'm aware of what Health sounds like. I'm a fan, and I'm aware of what Godflesh sounds like. I'm a fan. So when ideas came up for let's do some remixes, the thing that The only thing I guess parameters that we kind of gave is like we're thinking about remixing a couple of these songs and we gave them some choices and they chose. And then it's like, okay, have at it, dude. If I want to control the remix, I'd just remix it myself,
Mhm.
So I don't want the Randy remix. I want the Godflesh remix. I want the health remix because, you know, my remix would suck, frankly.
They're cool moments. I like listening to them. I like listening to the new version of another Nail in Your Coffin. Like that's
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
lot of fun having the guys from Malevolence and Kublai Khan come in and do that, and like that's also kind of a for me giving it to, and they're both established bands. I'm not saying these are brand new kids, like hey, here it's, but they're younger, much younger than us. So it's really kind of cool to hand our music off, and both of those bands certainly came up listening to our band. So it's neat to hand a track off and have them put it through their filter, when both of them, when Matt and Alex from Malevolence hit me up, they're like, "Hey, do you care if I play with the flow?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's what I want you to do. I don't. If you're going to try and just sound exactly like me, this is useless. So put your fingers on it,
Yeah.
make
And
it
I
your own."
and it's great that it's that track. Like it's not the big single or something like you all took the
Yeah,
chance to take because I say this a lot. I don't know. I don't mean this specifically. I guess it's more metaphorically, but my favorite albums are the sophomore albums. My favorite songs are the B-sides.
right.
You
Yeah,
know, it's those
me
weird little
too.
bastards of the songs. Why do I have a love affair with them? And when I see something like this, I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was talking with my girl the other day about the Beastie Boys and like not the old school hardcore stuff, but like the first two Beastie Boys records, Licensed to Ill and then Paul's Boutique. Like Licensed to Ill really gets on my effing nerves. Like
Sure.
girls, ding 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 ding
Right.
ding ding ding. It makes me crazy. And there's some good songs on it, but Paul's Boutique, you know, which was a flop. Not a flop, but it wasn't like as successful as License to Ill when it came out. That's a masterpiece.
Uh-huh.
They went deeper.
And we see
So
that
I
now.
get
Like
it.
people came around.
Oh yes, 100%. It's critically acclaimed now and it reshaped the face of hip hop. But um yeah, dude, I'm totally with you on the B sides and
Yeah.
other stuff.
Do you, as someone who creates these songs, and again has a much different relationship than us, the listeners, do
Mhm.
you find that you have a different relationship with those songs of yours, like the B-sides or the forgotten tracks or whatever soundtrack cuts?
Sometimes yeah, I mean, like sometimes it's like I think as we get older as a band, oh my God, we're doing pretty good at figuring out the fat that needs to be trimmed, whereas and kind of dialing the length of records in. Thank God, like 11 songs max is how long it should be. Even though a lot of records, and we were guilty of this, are 15, 16 songs because people didn't myself included, didn't want to shelve their ego and do what was best for the project. No, this is my song, my precious, or whatever. But as we've grown and matured as a band, we've learned how to sort of shelve that. So that some of the songs that are B-sides and so forth, that weren't included on a record or different versions of them that I'm like, that was much better. Every now and then I'll listen to the old thing or someone will bring it up and I'll be like, I was right. I was right. I was right. You know what I mean? But what am I gonna do? Sit there and cry over spilled milk?
Right.
It's we made I don't even know how many songs now. Not everyone is gonna make the cut, and we're a democracy. There's no like one dude in our band, never has been. That's like this is what our records are gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it? I was earlier this year I had Stone from Pearl Jam on here and we were talking something similar about B-sides. He goes, as we got older and we became better musicians, we wrote less of less of those were created because
Yes.
our songs were finished and B-sides are usually the songs that aren't quite finished or something, which
Yeah.
is
Or
like great and sad at the same time for me.
right. Yeah. They're half formed. There are things that did not get put through the the laboratory long enough. But if you're working on a recording deadline, um, we certainly don't have multi-million-dollar recording budgets or anything, and we're not trying to blow every penny recording. So and we write before we go. We try and do a pretty extensive pre-production process now, and kind of, winnow through it, separate the wheat from the chaff, as it were.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating, but we're still learning, and we're a good place as a band, and I think everybody um, certainly has learned to kind of want to serve the project first and foremost, rather than our own individual creative expressions. We have a saying in Lamb of God: better is better. So,
That's a good
like,
saying.
if I love something, but someone comes up with something better, it's gotta suck it up. You know what I mean?
To have been in the band for as long as you all have, like a lot of times there's that gang mentality at the beginning, and that
Mhm.
changes if people have their personal lives, and if you can still be in a band 25 years later or whatever it's been, like I would like that probably changes. Do you
I don't
find?
think we've ever had the gang
No, you
mentality.
never? Yeah.
No, no. We maybe like five separate gangs at war with each other.
Is it the
We,
Warriors? That's
yeah,
I've seen
yeah,
that
like
movie.
exactly, precisely. We're all cruising around the subways of the musicals landscape looking to kill each other. Um, we're five very different dudes, So it's it's been a process of, like, as I said, of us just learning, like, okay, let's step outside of ourselves and try and serve the project, you know?
Yeah. So how do you stay together? I mean, what keeps you all going? Is that
Too old to do anything else.
that's an easy answer.
I used to say it was just spite. And I think there was an element of that because nobody wanted to be the guy to quit, because then everybody would immediately blame everything on that person.
Yeah.
No, I think we're still together because we like making music together.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, you do it well.
We
And
try.
the live shows, when I was even just going back, prepping for this interview and watching, I don't know if you all posted or somebody posted, I think somebody else posted, it's a pro shot anyway show from one of the last tours. And it's just the power, like especially to be the front man. Do you find that you're accessing the energy from the same place inside of you that you would have done 20, 25 years ago?
That's a good question. I've never, I think it's always just kind of been the same. I mean, like, performing live, like, it's no secret. I've said this a million times. I hate recording. I despise the studio. I view it as a necessary evil, you
Sure.
know? And even though I'm getting older and things hurt, and I'm not frothing at the mouth to go on tour like I was when I was, 20 something, I still get the same, I don't know, energy from a crowd that's really into it, because I view it as a massive form of communication on a massive level. So when I sing some words that I wrote in a, you know, 99-cent spiral notebook that I got from CVS, sitting on my back porch, and I wrote these words trying to express myself, and I hear thousands of people echo those words back at me and sing with me, and then I see the music physically moving people. It's a symbiotic thing, and at the best shows, when the crowd are most engaged, it feels as if um, the barrier between us drops, between audience and performers. And that's why when I talk to people, if I meet them after a show, I was like, how was your show? Because it's our show. It's us in the audience. If the audience isn't there, we call that band practice, which I don't enjoy doing. You know, so it's a show. It's no show without the audience, and I don't know. It just feels like a big form of communication. I quite enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, the older I get and the more I see it, and as we get older, I think you've
Which is
said this.
also why put your freaking phones down and be present.
Mhm.
I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to. As the phones come more and more and more, I'm going to walk out one day at a particularly phone-driven show. And I'm going to bring a stool and I'm going to set it down in the middle of the stage after a song or two. And then I'm going to turn on my phone and I'm going to point it at the audience. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to sing a whole song. I'm not going to move. I'm going to do what they do. And then at the end, I'm going to say, did you people enjoy that? No, I didn't either. So why don't we be here together? Put your freaking phone down. You
Mhm.
know, you do not, the memories that you're going to have because you're experiencing this show through this digital filter or whatever of a crappy cell phone video. You're not Steven Spielberg. Sit here and enjoy the show with me, right? Be here with me because that's how it was when I started going to shows, except for thank God for those people back in the 80s who were photographer nerds who like, you know, the
Mhm.
weird people. There was always one or two with a camera who would take pictures and thank God for them because they documented the thing. But like everybody else was present and
Mhm.
people are missing it nowadays by viewing a show through a tiny iPhone screen. Be here. Be
Yeah.
here with me.
And the audience definitely doesn't, it never occurs to them what it must look like for you or feel like for you
It
on the
looks,
stage.
I mean, I'm not asking for sympathy, like poor Randy, he
No,
feels bad.
no, but
You know
there's
what I
that
mean?
in that
But
relationship
it's
that you're
something,
talking
yeah,
about.
the relationship is missing. And I want a relationship with the audience
Yeah.
because the harder you go, the harder I'm gonna go. The more you look at the phone, the more I want to sit on a stool and film you. And it's gonna happen one day.
And you have the artists like Maynard, like Dylan, Jack White comes to mind, where they shut it down beforehand.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, do you consider taking that step, going that
I've
far?
thought about it. I don't, my band probably wouldn't be down with it. I'd
Yeah.
be totally great if they're like no cell phones,
Yeah.
because these things are they are warping the shape of our reality in a horrific way
Mhm.
across the board. So, I'm not a Luddite. I am not anti-technology. Clearly, we are using it right now, but I think it would behoove us to step back and examine our relationship with technology and see what is being taken from us. The human aspect. It's certainly, and I'm just going to discuss music here. It's certainly removed that human aspect in a lot of ways from shows at times.
Right. I will say I saw Prince's final tour before he passed,
Lucky,
and that,
lucky.
yeah, well, I was very, my house was flooding at the moment. It was, we knew it was flooding, and we're like, but we have Prince tickets.
Screw the house. We're gonna go see the
And
purple dude.
it was going to flood regardless. I couldn't stop the
Yeah.
river from coming in. But I felt like that was the best compromise because you got in there and they said no phones. You cannot shoot the show, but we'll give you an opportunity at the end. And sure enough, everybody in that room for the entirety of the show, and it was a he was doing small venues for the fun of it, multiple nights in small venues. So it was even better. Everybody in that room for 2 hours was completely plugged in, knowing
Was
that we'd get our moment. And sure enough, at the end, he said, "Let's go crazy. Pull out your phones."
Yeah, that's
And everybody
great.
got it.
And I think Maynard has done, I think Tool did that. They allow people to do that at the end. And I think that's a good thing. And I'm certainly not like, oh, nobody can take a picture. I'm not like that guy or whatever, but it's really disturbing to me how much people are missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are in fact missing the show. You're not here. You're looking at your phone, bruh. You know, when I went to shows, I was looking around and I wasn't looking at the band. I was looking around at the cute chicks who were there. You know what? You're not gonna get that on your cell phone. There is no swipe left or whatever in the middle of the show. Get off your phone. Be here with us. Meet people. Talk. Have a human experience.
Yeah.
You
The
know?
lack of friendships we seem to have anymore because we
Yeah,
miss those moments.
yeah. And this so-called connective technology, people seem more isolated than ever before.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't that funny how that works? Hmm.
It's odd.
Okay, computer. It's the right. They
Yeah,
had it. They knew it. They knew it, and here it is.
yeah.
Um, can I ask about where your head's at for whatever comes like another record? I know it's been a few years.
I mean, I'm sure there will be one. I'm gonna try and survive this tour. That's all that's on my mind. We're starting once again in Texas in July,
That's what you
like
do.
the last three ones with pyro. So it's like, what are we doing? At least the first gig is indoors, but then we go to outside to Austin in a racetrack, and it's gnarly, man. So my head is just getting through the summer right now.
Hmm. And then maybe some music and all the other things. Like I like seeing the stuff. I was watching your video on the restoration project,
Hmm. Yes.
which I don't know if you can say something about that, but what you're all what bringing any kind of attention to things like that.
Yeah, yeah, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a surfer and I have a private reforestation project with some Ecuadorian friends of mine in Ecuador. I've been raising some money for that via Cameo. I haven't been to Ecuador in a while, regrettably, because there has been um, drug cartel activity, there that is kind of disrupted that whole country. So don't do cocaine, kids. You're screwing up my zone in South America directly. It's your fault. I can't preach. I'm a sober guy now, but I did plenty of substances over the years. Um, but no, just trying to. I bought some former cattle land there that a friend of mine pointed out, and we've let it. We've replanted a bunch of indigenous trees and trying to let it go back and heal. You know.
And every it's like they say every little bit helps and every little acre helps. You know,
Yeah, I
kind of
can't.
thing.
I'm not a giant NGO. I do not have bazillions of dollars. But it's something I can do. It's something I can use my platform to do, and it feels good.
Yeah. And I'll compliment you on the photography too. I know
Thank
you
you.
you you recently had a showing. You posted every single one of those photos, and I looked at every single one of those photos, and I read every single. But I mean, I was into it. Is what I'm trying to say. Like it was
Cool.
great stuff. So
Thank you. Thank you
uh,
very much.
keep doing that.
Try and do that. And I have a new book coming out next year. So it's with the copy editor right now, and that'll be coming out early next year,
What's the
supposedly.
book?
But it's called Just Beyond the Light.
Uh,
Uh, I, re- I It's been 10 years since my last book, so it's time for another one. So
time for why are you doing this one? Well, it's time for another one.
it's time for another one. Yeah.
Why are you doing this tour? Well, it's time for an anniversary. That's
Yeah,
I like the
that's
way you
right.
work. I like the way
Hey,
you work.
man. Yeah.
20th anniversary tour, Lamb of God and Mastodon. That's going to be an exciting one. Randy, thanks so much for taking the time to talk about it. Now I guess you need to get actually out there on tour.
I do. We got to finish packing.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.